got broken in the young world. So true. So true. Listen. I wasn't trying to lead her on. See, I didn't want to be alone.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian. It took me a while to purchase a fragrance from this house because I hadn't been able to find one that I really liked a lot. Adriana from Decant Shop has sent me a decent amount of fragrances from this house, but none of them have really done it for me. Once I heard that Pharrell Williams has done a scent for this house, I knew at the very least I had to give it a serious look. Now, I heard this fragrance was supposed to be a Sephora exclusive, which really surprised me because they don't stock Comme des Garcons, but whatever. Carlos, one of the good smellers, who was I think the first to review this, bought it. And he told me that Sephora had it, but they weren't putting it up for sale until the end of September or something. I also saw that Barney's had it on their website, and I know that they do carry Comme des Garcons, so I went in there, and they didn't know anything about carrying this fragrance. They told me they thought it was a Sephora exclusive as well, so I was stumped. Now, Carlos did tell me that he went to Dover Street Market in East 30th Street to get it, so I decided to just head down there myself and pick up my first Comme des Garcons fragrance. And in case I didn't love Girl, I decided to give myself some other options. So basically, I said I'll go down there and I'm either going to get black, Comme des Garcons black, I'm either going to get that, Serpentine, and their new one, Wonder Oud, or Girl. One of them no matter what, and if I fell in love, possibly two. So as you can tell, I did pick up Girl, and before we talk about why, let's talk about Comme des Garcons a little bit. Comme des Garcons is a French house that was started by a Japanese designer named Rei Kawakubo. And she started the brand with her husband, Adrian Joff, in 1969. But it really didn't become Comme des Garcons until 1973. And it was huge in Japan in the 70s, so much that they started a men's side of the business in 1978. But 1981 was the year that really put them on the map. They did their first fashion show in 81. And they really created a stir for being one of the first houses to predominantly do very industrial clothing. They used a lot of black and a lot of distressed fabrics. People in fashion tend to think of Comme des Garcons as a house that does the avant-garde and sort of hobo chic, if you will. And what I really like about Comme des Garcons personally is their collaborations. They just always seem to do these really funky collaborations. They've worked with brands like Nike, Montclair, Supreme, Louis Vuitton, Lacoste, H&M, many others, and really appreciate their play line, which of course has the little heart faces that's become very popular within streetwear, and just everything about Comme des Garcons. I'm a big fan. As far as fragrances go, you kind of have to be living under a rock if you're really into fragrance and don't know Comme des Garcons. They consistently push the envelope. They put out some of the most daring fragrances in the industry. They have different series, usually, like they have one based on synthetic aromas with names like Soda and Garage and Tar. They have a sherbet series with fragrances like Peppermint and Rhubarb. They have an incense series, and they work with huge names in the business. They actually really got their start in fragrances when they released their first self-titled fragrance in 1994, but the one that really made people in the fragrance industry go, whoa, Comme des Garcons is doing something pretty different, was a fragrance called Odor 53. That came out in 1998, and some of the notes in the breakdown on that were wind, nail polish, and flaming rock. So there you go. Now, in 2002, they did license the name to Antonio Puig, and that company now works on their fragrances, and thankfully they still retain that reputation of being daring and pushing the envelope. As of now, they have 75 fragrances in the catalog, but today we're talking about Girl. So let's start why I picked this one instead of the others, and if I'm still going to buy the others that were on my list. Now, first, I just want to say, man, if you live in New York and you haven't been to Dover Street Market, which opened in December, please check it out. You know, I was in there today, and I was talking to them, and I really like it there. It's in an old school, and it just doesn't look like it would be a place that has such high-end sort of luxury goods. There's a glass elevator. It's 6 floors. It's just awesome. There's a bakery within it. And I was sort of talking to one of the people, and I was like, you know, I really thought Comme des Garcons would open in like the West Village or meatpacking, and the woman was like, no, we totally really don't like being in spaces that are usually retail. We like sort of hiding out and letting people find us. So I thought that was really cool. And it's also near Curry Hill, which is an area of Manhattan where there's just a ton of Indian restaurants, and one of my favorite markets in New York called Calustan's, which is just, if you like spices, go to Calustan's one day and check that area out. There's a ton of great Indian restaurants to eat at. If you need any suggestions, feel free to email me. I mentioned one that I ate at that day called Desi Gali on my blog, Maximilian Must Know, so check that out. Again, any questions about the area, feel free to drop me a line. So I went in there and I smelled the other fragrances I talked about, and Serpentine just too much reminded me of Mugler Cologne by Terry Mugler, and that's a fantastic scent, but I already own it, so I took that off my list. I also checked Wonder Oud off my list because I enjoyed it, and it's a good oud scent, but it's $145, and it's very light and sort of wispy, and for $145, I don't think so. Now, Black, Comme des Garçons Black was fucking beautiful. Black was my favorite of the four, okay? I'm not going to front. But I really wanted this bottle. I mean the physical bottle. Because of the Cause artwork. I'm a huge Cause fan. So I did go with Girl, but I will be getting Black. Black is this aggressive, bold, thumping, smoky, licorice-like, big fragrance that I just fell in love with. So that is definitely next very soon from the house for me. But today, we're talking about Girl by Pharrell. So let's do it. First off, I've always loved Pharrell as an artist in many different respects. Clips is far and away one of my favorite groups of all time. Guys who do read my blog know I'm in every type of music, and Clips is just, I love their music. I'm not even saying as rap music. Sometimes I say, oh, I like that as rap music, but Clips, I just love what they do. And he's been behind so much of their music. I've always had immense respect for what he did with Chad Hugo and how Neptune shaped rap music for a good chunk of time. Also loved his clothing line, BBC. Now, they recently shifted their manufacturing of BBC from Japan to China, and I think the quality's dipped a bit since they did that, but I still have a pair of BBC jeans with the spaceman in the back pockets and the dog running across the front. I think I paid like $345 for those jeans like 10 years ago, and yes, I still do have them. So bottom line is I'm a big Pharrell fan, and I'm a big Cause fan as well, the artist. Love the stuff he's done, the Complex magazine cover. I've been trying forever to get an original print by him, but they're very expensive. You guys don't know, but I'll put a photo. I have a huge collection of vinyl art in my office where I work in Midtown, and I've just moved my whole collection of stuff by Obey and Sket One and my Dunny collection and stuff I have from Supreme. I've moved all that stuff to my office, but I probably have at least $5,000 worth of vinyl art, and I'm always trying to get an original companion by Cause, and so I'm a big Cause fan as well. Let's put it like that. So I was reading that Pharrell, as far as cologne went, his first one that he really liked was Green Polo, which I liked. Then Fahrenheit. And then I was like, whoa, this guy was where I was. But then he stopped wearing cologne for like 10 years, and he had a meeting at Colette one day in France. And Sarah Andelman is the creative director there, and he asked her what she was wearing, and she said Wonder Wood by Comme des Garçons, and then Pharrell started wearing Comme des Garçons fragrances. So he recently collaborated with perfumers Christian Augusteville, I hope I'm saying that right, Ostogeville, and Antoine Lee to create this fragrance, which is called Girl, for boys and girls, supposedly. Antoine Lee is pretty well established. He's done a few scents for CDG, including Wonderwood. He's done many for Etat Libre, and he's established within the designer fragrance world as well. He did Code Men for Armani, and he did Crystal Noir for Versace. This fragrance was released September 1st at Dover Street Market, and I guess should be in Sephora at some point. And it comes in two sizes. You can get 100 ml. They're both EDP. 100 ml of EDP for $145. It was $145 for me, but I've seen it $135 at Sephora, so I don't know. Or a 10 ml spray for $30. Notes on this fragrance are neroli, lavender, white pepper at the top, iris, styrax, and violet in the base, and patchouli, vetiver, sandalwood, and cedar in the base. I'm sorry, the middle is the iris, styrax, and violet. So as far as your presentation goes, I don't like the box. It's got a foam insert where it sits. It says Eau de Parfum, 100 ml, special edition. I don't know why this is a special edition. On the back you have the information. And so we'll talk more about that later. The bottle, I think it's one of the nicest bottles I've felt and seen. I think it's glass or ceramic. It feels so smooth. It feels like almost like a stone. Each bottle is different because of the way they lasered the artwork on. You see artist cause, all that. The cap feels like plastic, but it sort of feels like a light bulb. It might be glass. I think it's plastic. And the atomizer is very nice too. Not great, and I wish, this kind of looks weird, this atomizer on this bottle. I wish they'd gone with a white atomizer, but the Cause signature double X's are on the cap, and for me this is just, you know, I would have paid the price just for the bottle, which I sort of wound up doing, but let's talk about that for a couple seconds. So what do I think about this fragrance? Well, let me say this much first. I'm not surprised that Comme des Garcons made a fragrance like this, and I wouldn't be surprised if Eccentric Molecule made a fragrance like this, because it's that sort of fragrance. It's very light, and it's very much unisex. What you're going to get out of Girl is a very non-offensive iris and wood fragrance. To my nose, cedar wood, and a dab of neroli. So think of it like this: very crisp iris, a dab of neroli, and some cedar and sandalwood. And if I had to give a color to describe this fragrance, I would most certainly say white. I think the neat trick to this fragrance, and why it does indeed work as a unisex fragrance, is because it starts off very masculine. The iris and cedar start this off very masculine. But then as it dries down, it really sort of does a trick where it becomes a little bit floral with the violet and sweet with the sandalwood. So the dry down to me is feminine and the top is masculine. So it's really interesting. And I do like the way the scent progresses. And I think that either sex should be able to pull this off well. As far as the vetiver and the patchouli, I don't get either of those. I do get the incense a little bit, and the pepper's definitely there. And the incense is sort of in the middle and base as well. The cedar and incense sort of merge, I think, and I smell them both together with the sandalwood. But either sex should be able to pull this off pretty easily. And I'll say this. This lasts for a decent amount of time for EDP. It's not great. But the sillage and projection on me so far have been just awful. For me, this is a skin scent within an hour. Now, maybe that was Pharrell's goal. Maybe he wanted something clean and sort of invisible. But I find it to be disappointing for the most part. Personally, I don't mind that the scent's kind of very much linear. I don't mind that, but I don't like the performance. As far as when someone would wear Girl, well, first off, I'll have to say that I think they made a huge mistake by not releasing this fragrance towards the end of the winter, because this screams spring to me. It could work in the fall. I think it can work in the fall, but I think it's going to be rough for this to perform well in cold weather because of the restrained construction of the composition. But let me also say this. This is not a good. This is a great office scent. And for men or women, this is a great office scent. It's also a great black tie scent for men. I think when women dress up, they would like to wear something a bit more sexy and feminine. And I would not describe this as a sexy fragrance. As Comme des Garcons usually is, it's far more industrial than sexy. So how would I rate Girl? I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. I think there was an opportunity for Comme des Garcons and Pharrell and Cause to do something really cool with the box. And well, they nailed the bottle. The box is just a piece of plastic with a foam insert. For $145, Pharrell should not be proud about that. And the performance is not good. It's just not good. I'm sorry. So that is not good as well. Now again, a new feature I'm doing on all videos that I'm recording after this date are giving you suggestions of what fragrance can give you this experience if you don't want this one, and then telling you what someone who's trying to get you to buy this fragrance would say, and then try to tell you what someone who would try to talk you out of getting this fragrance would say. So what gives you this experience? Marc Jacobs Bang is kind of close if you threw some iris and cedar in it. It's very linear and light. And any of the eccentric molecules fragrances, 01, eccentric or 01 molecule that have the ISOE super, could also sort of replicate this experience for you. If you don't want to buy this fragrance, you can sort of get that experience from those two fragrances. Someone who is selling you this fragrance would probably say, this is a high quality effort. It's one of the, if not the best celebrity scent you can get. It's not going to offend anyone. There's no way it's going to offend anyone. It's unisex, and the bottle might become a collector's edition because of the cause design. Someone who was trying to talk you out of buying this fragrance would say it's just too much money for shit performance. Comme des Garcons missed an opportunity to be bold or daring. And Pharrell is usually a guy that takes chances, so why didn't Comme des Garcons and Pharrell make a more daring fragrance? And I get that. I could see that perspective because no one's saying the perspective. But so look, if I had to do it all again, I'd buy this again. I don't know how much wear I'm going to get out of it. I think black is a far better scent. I think Comme des Garcons has 3 or 4 at least fragrances better than this. But if you're a fan of Pharrell, if you're a fan of Cause, check it out and then let me know what you think, guys. All right, so we'll be back real soon next week with a couple videos. If you have any questions or comments about anything, this fragrance or anything else, please feel free to email me, maxmno@gmail.com, and please check out my blog, Maximilian.
Give a fuck what so and so says. Crushes hurt, don't